If $20,000 appeared in your account today, tomorrow might look almost identical with the same room, commute, job, and monthly bills. Yet beneath the surface, your position against time, work, risk, and major decisions would already be stronger. $20,000 is not enough to retire or live extravagantly, but it may stop one small emergency from destroying your entire financial system. Many people wait for $1 million before believing life can change, so they ignore smaller milestones that create real stability. The important milestone is when you depend less on the next paycheck, can absorb a shock, and can say no to harmful situations. $20,000 is not magic, and without discipline, it can disappear as quickly as a much smaller amount did before. Used for status, it may become a car down payment, an oversized wedding, an expensive trip, or an investment you do not understand. Used with patience, the same money can become the first strong foundation that changes the direction of the next decade. To understand why, meet Adrian Cole, a warehouse manager raised in a working-class family in northern England. His family was never destitute, but every month began with wages and ended with an effort to survive until the next payday. A car repair or a long illness could erase their savings, so money was always used to solve today's problem instead of building tomorrow. After university, Adrian moved to Manchester and became a warehouse operations manager for a national retail chain. His salary looked respectable, but rent, transport, groceries, utilities, and insurance consumed almost all of it. He believed the real problem was income and promised to save seriously after the next raise. 5 years later, his income had increased by almost 40%, but his net worth had barely moved. From the outside, the apartment, car, and holidays made his life appear successful. The turning point came when Adrian's mother was injured at work and needed months to recover. The family needed a safer bathroom, mobility equipment, and help with unexpected household costs. Adrian wanted to help, but his savings covered less than 2 months of his own essential expenses. Most of what he called assets were a financed car, depreciating electronics, and furniture with no resale value. For the first time, he understood that someone can have a job, car, and new phone while remaining financially weak. The experience changed his question from, "What can I buy?" to, "How much do I need so one crisis cannot control me?" He calculated essential costs, family responsibilities, and realistic risks, then set a target of $20,000. Adrian called it his first freedom fund, not because it would let him retire, but because it would reduce desperation. To him, $20,000 represented months of living costs, support for his parents, retraining, or a carefully limited business test. He began by tracking every expense for 90 days without judging himself. The numbers showed that his problem was not one dramatic purchase, but dozens of automatic decisions. He canceled unused subscriptions, reduced delivery meals, and delayed replacing his phone. He also moved to a slightly smaller flat closer to work, reducing both rent and commuting costs. Next, he automated transfers on payday, so savings happened before spending. He started with 10%, increased it to 15%, and later reached 20% as his system improved. At $3,000, a car repair no longer required a credit card. At $5,000, Adrian could help his parents without missing his own rent. He stopped treating every pay raise as permission to increase fixed costs. Adrian sold the financed car and bought a reliable used hatchback with cash. The monthly payment disappeared, insurance fell, and his savings rate rose immediately. Instead of chasing a random online trend, he chose a skill connected to problems he already understood. Within a year, he used those skills to improve stock planning and reduce waste at work. That contribution helped him negotiate a raise based on results rather than effort alone. His income rose, but this time his lifestyle stayed almost unchanged. The gap between what he earned and what he needed finally began to widen. At $8,000, Adrian had roughly 3 months of essential expenses. At $10,000, he noticed a new feeling. He no longer feared every workplace disagreement. This is the first function of meaningful savings. It reduces the cost of saying no. The second function is time, because savings convert money into months of decision-making space. Without a buffer, losing a job creates an emergency. With a buffer, it creates a problem that can be managed. At $12,000, Adrian could cover several months of living costs and family support. He used that stability to reject a promotion that paid more but required constant travel and poor health habits. His savings allowed him to optimize for the next 5 years instead of the next paycheck. This is the third function of capital. It expands the time horizon of your decisions. At $15,000, the fund was no longer just emergency cash. It had become a platform for opportunity. Adrian kept most of it safe and liquid, but assigned a small amount to professional development. He paid for an advanced analytics course only after comparing the curriculum with real job requirements. The course helped him build a reporting system for small retailers. He tested the idea with one local shop before spending money on branding or equipment. The first project earned little, but it proved that someone would pay for the result. He documented the process, measured time, and improved the service before finding a second client. This reduced pressure and helped him make better decisions about pricing and clients. At $18,000, Adrian was close enough to the target that temptation became stronger. Friends encouraged him to celebrate with a new car because he had worked so hard. Instead, he celebrated with a modest family trip paid from a separate sinking fund. After 4 years and 8 months, Adrian reached $20,000. There was no dramatic music, luxury purchase, or instant resignation. The real change was that he could now face uncertainty without immediate panic. The exact percentages mattered less than giving every dollar a clear purpose. Adrian used a small experiment fund to offer data services to 2 local retailers in the evenings. He tracked hours, costs, customer value, and payment reliability. After 6 months, the side project generated about 20% of his salary. After 18 months, it generated almost half of his salary. Only then did Adrian reduce his employment from 5 days to 4. This is the fourth function of capital. It lets you experiment without gambling your entire life. If a project fails, housing, food, and essential bills can remain secure. If a client pays late, you do not need expensive debt to cover the month. People with no capital are often attracted to promises of turning $1,000 into $10,000 quickly. After building $20,000 slowly, Adrian understood how many workdays and sacrifices the principal represented. At a 5% annual return, $20,000 produces only about $1,000 a year before taxes and fees. The greatest value is not immediate passive income, but the way capital works with salary, time, and skill. From zero, almost all progress comes from saving. After $20,000, growth can come from both savings and returns. Compounding also applies to skills, reputation, and relationships. Adrian now had savings, operational experience, analytics skills, early clients, and professional credibility. Financial capital protected his career choices, while career capital continued feeding his finances. A meaningful reserve also reduces quiet family stress around health, education, and emergencies. $20,000 does not mean the same thing to everyone because costs and responsibilities vary. A single person in a small town may gain a year of flexibility, while a family in London may gain only a few months. The real measure is the relationship between assets, obligations, and monthly burn rate. $20,000 with consumer debt and high fixed costs may be weaker than $12,000 with no debt and stable income. Do not chase the number at any cost by destroying your health, neglecting your family, or taking risks you do not understand. The sensible path is usually less dramatic. Build income, save consistently, control fixed costs, avoid expensive debt, and allow time to work. Break the journey into levels. Clear toxic debt, save 1 month, then 3 months, 6 months, $5,000, $10,000, and $20,000. The first $5,000 is often the hardest because almost all progress must come from work and saving. Later, stronger habits, higher skills, and existing capital begin supporting one another. As the side business matured, Adrian kept a 4-day workweek and gained control of his calendar. Capital allowed him to plan for 3, 5, and 10 years instead of surviving 1 month at a time. Even after reaching a milestone, he resisted upgrading every part of his lifestyle. Before a major decision, he asked whether it would increase or reduce his options over the next 3 years. Adrian's life did not change on the exact day he reached $20,000. It changed through hundreds of smaller decisions. Track spending, know your minimum monthly cost, list debts and obligations, and identify where cash leaks. Protect the surplus before trying to make it grow quickly. $20,000 can change your life because it buys time, protects calm thinking, expands choices, and strengthens your ability to act. Thank you for watching Financial Tutor. Subscribe and share this video with someone building their first financial foundation.